Hey, what's going on, guys? Gonna be kind of just a simple video here today, just taking a look at a couple of option sets here. I'll just combine these into one video because it's just pretty simple sets here. So this one is the customized effect. This is the burst image version gray. So as you can see, what we got here is a little stand and then some basically like explosion effect parts that are in gray. Now the nice thing about these being in gray is that they look alright just as they are in gray, but if you wanted to paint them into like red or yellow or even green or blue, whatever you want really, like if you're going to be using these for the marine type Cielnova there, then you might want to paint these in like clear blue. So just using some clear paint, just paint it clear blue, or like this gun blast effect part, you might want to paint that in like clear yellow or something. So all you need is just some clear paint to paint these up, and so we'll take a look at these. This other set here is the option weapon one for Cielnova. So obviously you have this big sniper rifle, as you can see here. You have another backpack, which I'm not really sure why that's included, because the Cielnova obviously has its own backpack, so I'm not sure if this is maybe slightly different or if maybe that can be used on some different kits. So we'll try that out. You also have some other weapons in here aside from just the sniper rifle. You have some options for that, so you can looks like you can make that as like a Gatling gun if you want. And then you'll also have a melee weapon here as well too, this big massive axe. You can make that into a little sword, or this little kunai, I believe that's called, a little one of those. A little shield there maybe as well too. So I don't know, we'll try it out. Let's go ahead and take a look at the blast effects here first. This is, I guess, 4 in the customized effect line of these. We previously took a look at another set before as well too. Those were some different blast effects, but anyway, on our paper here on the inside of this is where you got your instructions for that. It's pretty straightforward, just build up this simple base. The actual explosion parts are going to be like a couple pieces just sandwiched together there basically, so it gives you some instructions on how to use that. You do also have a parts list down here as well. You got a bunch of connection pieces in there as well too, which should come in pretty handy as well. Now it looks like the base itself is in just plain clear runner there, looks like, and just the effect parts are going to be the ones that are in like this kind of gray clear, as they're calling it, or just sort of like a translucent white kind of color here basically. So all your connection parts will be just in plain clear on there. These are just the burst effect parts here themselves there, and it is a slightly softer plastic. It's not exactly like polycarbonate, or it's not even doesn't feel. I guess it's probably about the same material as like your beam saber effect parts. Usually a little bit softer for those, so it's going to be comparable to that. So let me go ahead and get these all chopped up, and then we'll see what we can do with these. Alright, so stand, connection parts, and here's our effect parts. Now yeah, I didn't notice this when you look at the fine print on the front of here. You need 2 sets of this effect to make that, because you only get one of these little guys in there. On the back here it does show you exactly what you're going to get in here. Now keep in mind these are halves, that's 2 halves of that, 2 halves of that, 2 halves of that, 2 halves of that. So of your actual explosion pieces here, your 3-dimensional explosion pieces, you'll have 2 of these smaller ones, which are not the same, they are slightly different, but they are roughly the same size, and then one of this larger one that you can see. With each one you will have one kind of hard point there where you'll be able to plug in the actual connection piece base for that. So like for example, you can just plug that onto the stand there on its own. But if you didn't want to have that like that, you can actually use this peg for like half an explosion onto the front of something. Let's see here. I think for a more convincing look, the smaller size might be more appropriate for this, but just so you guys get the idea. Like say if you wanted to have this looking like it's stopping an explosion, something on the front of his shield there, you can have that attached onto there or something like that. And then one of these other smaller ones, let's see, could attach that maybe onto the top of his shoulder just to make it look like his whole arm is like exploding, something like that, of course. But then I also wanted to try see how this effect part here, this one, if this would be able to work in like the barrel of a bazooka or something. Now the Alto ground type here does come with this bazooka, but it doesn't quite fit in there like that as it is. So I thought, oh, maybe we can use this connection piece here. That'll make this a little bit larger, stick that into there, and then this will fit, but that also doesn't fit into there. So not really any good way to make that fit into there without having to do a little bit of modification on that. Otherwise, of course, what your option could be is just kind of fake it by using the stand, and you could just have that like out there like that. It doesn't really look quite as good though like that, does it? So this one, of course, can just be used by just plugging into anywhere. So if you wanted to have this looking like it's like coming off his back, like that, some like jet propulsion sort of thing. But again, this doesn't really have much of a backpack, it's not really very good for this one. And you would be good to have 2 of these, so I guess if you want to do something like that, definitely would recommend getting 2 of this set. Obviously in theory going to work better like we saw in there for the Cielnova, but as you can see, it doesn't actually fit in there. Now I run into this problem every so often with these, the 30mm missions kits. They're all supposed to be 3mm, but you find some of them are loose or tighter than others for some reason. Now let's try this just here on the back of the arm. That fits in there perfectly tight. On that hole here on this backpack part though, it's not tight at all. Let's try it up here on this one. There, it's tight. Okay, that works. And what about here on the chest? Oh, that also kind of works there like that. So I don't know, just for some reason it's not very tight there in the back. But again, if you look here at the front, you'll see those aren't actually plugged into the backpack. They're using these connection arms there being held in place. So just kind of faking the look of that, unfortunately. So here's just a couple examples of how you could use those parts. You also have those kind of like base explosion parts too that you can use. So, I mean, as far as explosion parts go, I mean, if you need some, these work. The set overall though is not, I mean, that great. I'm not really super excited about it. But again, if you need something like this, having just something like this that you can buy is obviously going to be easier than having to make something like that yourself, depending on what you need, depending on how good you want it to look. I think these look passable, but it's only going to be when you look at them up close that they're not really going to look quite as nice. Of course, with them being two halves going together as well too, there's going to be a seam line on there. So if you're going to be painting these in clear yellow or whatever, for example, you're still going to see that seam. And it's only going to be if you're painting them a solid color and getting rid of that seam line on there, which I think might be a little bit difficult to do. I'm not sure which type of glue you'd have to use because it's a softer type plastic. I'm not sure if just like regular Tamiya extra thin or just whatever type glue might work on that. I'm not sure, but all right, let's go ahead and take a look at the option weapons then. All right, so here on the back of there, you can see some more examples of what you can do with this. You got the big axe, you got the little pistol, you got the other weapons there. Some of the weapons, it actually looks like one of the best weapon packs, I think, so far, what I can tell from the line we've seen so far. That said, I wish Bandai would start using zipper bags for these rather than just these ones. I guess maybe that costs a little bit more, but alright, on here, once again on the inside, we've got the instructions for how to make this, how to make the different options. You got a little bit of color instructions there for the backpack, joint parts, and the parts list down there as well. And any paint guide, color guide, not really for this. I think it's not really necessary, right? So just go ahead and see our runners here. We've got runner C1 that's taken directly from the Cielnova. It's like pistol weapon there and the backpack parts. And then we got option weapon D1 and option weapon D2 runners here for the rest of our parts here. And as you can see, everything's all molded in gray. So let me go ahead and put these together and see what we got. So alright guys, now it's all built up. Let's go ahead and take a look. The backpack, of course, is exactly the same as the backpack of the regular Cielnova. So I guess you have an extra one of those. You could double it up, but in case you didn't want to get too silly with it, let's just go ahead and see how this is going to work on something else. Now here's just the regular Alto, so this should be able to plug onto the back of pretty much anything. Now, not going to be much clearance there with the head kind of touching the disc, and these parts here are kind of very high above the shoulders, but you can get the idea that it is going to fit on there. Now the reason I wanted to pull this off, the Alto, I mean, is because also the Alto's rifle. Now this Alto rifle here, not included with this particular set, this is just what's included with the regular Alto, just has this connection piece there on the front of there, which is not really useful for a whole lot of customizing, but what we get here with this new set is a new adapter piece here for the front of that now you can use the rectangular pieces there on the front of there. So like for example, we have the sniper barrel, which is included with this set. You could then plug into that to turn that into like a long rifle, like so, or use like the barrel of the Cielnova's pistol to turn that into just like sort of more like silenced looking rifle there, kind of like that. It looks pretty cool, something like that. So very cool. And now adapter piece that we get with this for the Alto's rifle, that's very handy. So of course, if you already have the Cielnova, having a second Cielnova pistol here means you could dual wield those if you wanted to. Now that you've got two of those, but this is actually just going to form the handle for our new custom weapon we can make with this set. So here's kind of like the main body. You got the bipod on here, which will move up and down. It just plugs right onto there. So you got another couple hard points here, and then here on the top as well. On the top, gonna plug in this kind of like a camera sensor, I guess, sort of looking thing there on the top of there. And then on the back, you're gonna plug this stock onto there again, sort of similar to the Altos, where it's like kind of off to the side. So that goes on there. And then for the barrel, we've got our sniper rifle barrel here like that. So at the full length, there it is. It does look very cool, really nicely detailed, of course, as always. And of course, you can turn that, however you might want it, if you prefer the look of it like that, maybe, for example. Or if you wanted to omit this middle piece and just have it with just this one like that, that is something as well too. You could make it into just this very long, thin looking rifle there like that. That's not too bad. And if you had multiples of this set, you can connect multiples of this barrel piece to make it even super longer if you wanted. So it's definitely a set. I think I'll probably end up getting another one at some point, and you can make a really super like Evangelion 08 style, really super long beam rifle or sniper rifle there out of that. But of course, aside from the sniper rifle attachment, we do also have the Gatling gun attachment as well. So let's go ahead and check that out. That just plugs onto there like so. I guess maybe we wouldn't necessarily need the camera. You just have that just as something like that, and so that's also going to be very long. And again, you could omit the middle part and then just have it like that. Just a very short beam rifle. Almost sort of looks, I mean, kind of similar to the Unicorn's beam Gatling gun, just very short, simple little Gatling gun there like that, with a very big barrel on there. So we've also got a couple other little adapters here. You've got this adapter, which will turn that square rectangular peg into just a regular round peg hole. So I guess then maybe if you want to take our axe weapon here, which is just on a 3mm peg, you can just plug that into there like that. For example, you guys get what I'm saying anyway. Or you could just cut off a piece of runner. Just the runner should be 3mm wide as well too. So cut off a piece of runner, stick it in there, and have like a longer extended barrel. You could drill a hole into that or something if you wanted to. Our other adapter piece is kind of the opposite of that, where you can turn a hole, like, I don't know, like this just regular 3mm hole in the back of there. Turn that into like a square or rectangular adapter piece, and then we'll take our kind of end of the Cielnova's pistol, plug it into there, and then I guess you've got like a sort of pipe sticking out the backpack, I don't know, something like that. But you guys get the idea. You got this little adapter piece you can do with that. So going back to the axe, let's talk about our melee weapons we haven't included in here. The axe does look very cool. Not a very long handle, but again, it wouldn't be too hard to extend that if you just used a piece of the runner instead, or just got another one of these kits and use a connection piece or something in the center to have a much longer handle. I think might look pretty cool. You can see these weapon parts are going to be using this little square size piece here. So then you've got these bits, which could make for a really cool sword. The handle size is much larger though. It's much thicker than your standard 3mm width. That looks probably 4, if not maybe larger. So what you can do with this, basically here on the end of that, you just got that little square bit, so you can plug that onto there instead, making this long spear type weapon. This is actually made up of 3 segments, so you could omit this middle segment there and make this a little bit shorter like that. That looks pretty cool. Or use the axe head in here like that, also very cool. That's going to add a lot longer length onto that as well too. And then if you wanted to go ahead and plug this back onto there, onto the end of there like that, now you got this big massive halberd kind of style weapon that looks all very cool as well too. Or if you go full Chad and put them all together like that, that is the maximum of all the parts combined there like that, which does look pretty cool. So really like this. I mean, the range weapon options that you have with this, with making the rifle, and especially the adapter piece for the Alto's rifle as well too, to customize that, very cool. The close combat weapons, also very cool with this. And then one more thing, we do also have the shield as well, which is a pretty nice looking shield. A lot of the shields that we've got in like the different customized option sets, weapon sets and stuff, I haven't really been a fan of the look of a lot of the shields, but this one actually does look really quite nice. It's pretty simple. It only has the one adapter hard point there, where the other ones have like 3 or 4 or 5, just tons of holes all over the place. It just has the one little simple one, which can be very easily plugged up with just a little kind of option piece just to pop in that hole or something like that, just to plug that if you don't like that. Just one simple peg here on the back just to plug onto the arm, so nothing too fancy. Now for the Cielnova itself, it's going to be able to plug only onto the back of the arm, which is not really ideal. I prefer the shields to be on the side of the arm, so I probably will end up using this with a different kit that I'll be able to plug onto the side of the arm. We'll go ahead and try out some of these parts here in use. Now the only other thing I want to point out is that you do also get a set of these little guys here as well too. Now I have to refresh my memory what these are actually used for. I think these are like some these are the parts used for like the hip connections, so these are included with this. Not really going to be too much use though, so I think you can probably just toss these in the trash. As far as I can see in the instructions, there's no way to really use these, so just got those in there as well. You do also have, of course, the little kunai weapon on there as well too, as I mentioned earlier, which is another great weapon to have included as well. It's just a shame they only get one. It would have been nice if they would have thrown at least 2 of them on there to have 2. But again, just another reason to buy multiples of this set again. And so, alright, that's it. I think the weapon set was really fantastic, really super happy with that. The effect set, nah, it's okay. It's not really all that great, to be honest. I'm not really super excited about that, but this weapon set is really nice, so highly recommended it for you guys. If you are building, you know, a lot of 3mm stuff, 30-minute mission stuff, I should say, 30 minutes mission stuff, or, you know, you can use these with your gunpla as well too. So especially, I think these would be especially fitting the melee weapons, of course, with your HD Armblood Orphans kits. Those seem like they'd be a great fit with those style kits. And then the ranged weapon stuff, of course, can also work with the different Gunpla kits, and also with other stuff like a Full Metal Panic kits or something like that from Bandai as well too. I think those will work pretty well also. So really useful weapon set, and not very expensive either for just under 10 bucks. It's really not bad. I would definitely recommend picking up a few of those. But that's gonna be it for today, guys. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for your support, liking the video, commenting, subscribing, all that's greatly appreciated. And if you guys have any other further questions, of course, do feel free to ask those down below. And as always, guys, big thank you to USA Gundam Store for making it all possible. Check out all this stuff and everything else on USA Gundam Store. The link is down below. You can use my coupon. You can use my coupon code there, ZakuAurelius10, to save 10% off everything on the site. And until next time, guys, hope you're all having a great day. I'll see y'all later. Bye-bye.